What's up? Here I am again, here to do a review and a recap of 7 Seconds. Episode 3. Episode 3, guys. Episode 3. 7 Seconds. Now, remember, I told you I've already seen the series and I've been watched it in one day. But I'm going back and looking at it at a second time to give the review and the recap. And I'm not going to give you blow by blow. I'm going to give you certain parts that's basically, I think that's important that you all need to know when you get ready to pop on over. Although when you pop on over, you are going to know what is going to happen, but still, it's still a good series to go check out. We start with episode 3, and episode 3 is called Death and Life. Death and Life. So, of course, it's called Death and Life, and so we know that Trish, Regina King, has basically went to the cafeteria. This was in episode 2. I'm just giving you a retrack in episode 2. To go to the cafeteria, to take a break, to get a slice of pie, and to come back to the room where Bennett, her son, is in. She comes on her way to the room. She sees a nurse coming out. And the nurse tells her, she says, Miss Butler, we have been basically looking for you. And then this is when the nurse says, the doctor has basically done all that he could do. And then this is when she goes into the room and she sees her son lying there with no respirators, no breathing, anything, nothing hooked up to him. That he has basically died. He had basically passed on. And so this was a really, really sensitive scene. And let me just tell you, Regina King is playing the heck out of this. She needs to be nominated for 2019 award shows for this. Anyway, over on the other part of town, we see Pete. Now, we know that Pete hit Bennett accidentally in the park. We know that. We see Pete, and Pete is driving up in another car that he has been driving because he has not been driving his SUV because of the accident. So all of a sudden, the garage door opened up. When the garage door opened up, he looks inside and he noticed that his SUV and his truck is not there. But somebody is honking their horn and he sees his truck. And his sister-in-law is driving his truck. And his sister-in-law says, well, the wife says that it was okay, that she could use it to go get, I guess, clothes or whatever. And so Pete loses his mind. This man has lost his mind. He pulls this woman out of the truck, slams her up against the truck, I'm sweating, slams her up against the truck and tell her, if you ever put your hands on this truck again, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, yo, is all that necessary? Over a drop, but I guess it is necessary, especially if you are trying to do a cover up. And so we see on the other side of town, going back, and we see Fish inside the police department. And Fish has basically found some evidence. And how he found some evidence is that him and KJ had went to a particular convenience store and found out some information and found out the name of the young lady. Now, I'm telling you guys, it's getting ready to get really interesting. The young lady who basically, remember now, Fish was looking for Timberland boots because it was not in the report. Because remember, he's carrying a brown bag around, and that brown bag has Bennett's clothes, everything in the clothes where they have to report everything that, he had on him at the time that they, admitted him in the hospital and everything. And the boots were missing because he was wearing Timberland boots and the boots was missing. And so and that's how he was able to find out who had the boots. It's because Nadine, with her ratchet self, goes into the ditch where Bennett was knocked into by Pete and take this boy's boots off of his feet and sold them. And she basically sold them to a crackhead or something. So that's how Fish found out about it. But the reason why I said Fish is running his mouth, he's running his mouth, is because he's telling information to D'Angelo's partner, which is Felix, the Hispanic boy. And the Hispanic boy is like basically looking at him like he's very surprised in the information that Fish is telling him. And so he tells Fish, he says, you know what? I could basically, if you need to find out how this person is look or how this person looks like, I could put a EPB or whatever, one of those things that they put a PB on you and to basically find you or whatever. Well, Fish, not knowing what's going on and not knowing that the Felipe, uh, Felix, I'm sorry, Felix was a part of the crooked cops, shows a picture of Nadine. Shows a picture of Nadine, and Felix almost got that picture. But I'm glad that Fish did not give him that picture, because how he got that picture from the convenience store that KJ and him went to. And we find out that they did not call the policeman on her because she was shoplifting, but of course, she lives in the upper part of Summit, in the white area of New Jersey, and it's upper part. That's where Whitney Houston had her estate, somewhere in the upper part of Jersey, and that's where Wendy Williams, uh, a lot of famous, well-to-do people live in New Jersey. The reason why they live in New Jersey because Jersey is less expensive than New York, but certain parts of it is really expensive. But anyway, I digress. Let me go on. And so Fish goes to Nadine's neighborhood and sees the mother and asks the mother, "Have you seen Nadine?" And she would say, "Well, what is it that you want to speak to her?" She says, "Well, I understand that she did some stuff," and the mother says, "Well, we've already paid for all of that and everything." And so Fish, with his candid little self, well, it was cold outside. He said, "Well, I know it's cold, so let's go in and we can talk about her." Nadine's mom was like, "I don't think so." So she slammed the door in his face. And so we go on to another part, and we see that Seth and Isaiah is having a conversation about the bills and everything that basically is beginning to come in and pile up from, Bennett, hospital stay, from, the funeral, and come to find out that the church is also charging them for bereavement costs. Now, this is my first time. I've never heard of, and y'all let me know, I've never heard of church charging grievance fee, but I guess they do. I don't know. I don't even know if my church charge grievance day. I don't really go to church that often. I used to do it all the time, but kind of stopped. Uh, now I go every once in a while. I am a part of a ministry, but I still am not, you know. But anyway, this is not about me. But anyhow, and so this is when Isaiah says, well, that's what being a man is all about. You got to pay the bills, and then this is when Seth and Isaiah got into it. Seth got into it about the church charging them grievance fee and stuff like that. And so we go back on to another part of town we're gonna hit is that this is when we find out that the kingpin, the Messiah, the big kahuna, the crown, the king, we find out that D'Angelo and his two on his three dirty crooked cops are part of this drug dealing in the South Ward. And how we find out about that is that in the second part we see that the Pete followed. We saw that Pete followed the three detectives to see that they were actually doing some misdealings and stuff. And so the third time we see that Pete, D'Angelo, um, Murphy, um, and Felix have all drove over to this house, but they keep Pete in the car, and the other two detectives go with D'Angelo. And this is when we see the kingpin is in. And the kingpin is, believe it or not, he is he is he's in a wheelchair. He's in a wheelchair. He's a disabled young black man. But being that he's a young black man, he is still the kingpin. Almost like he's in a wheelchair and he's a drug dealer. But that's not unusual. And so this is when this kingpin tells D'Angelo that there are some drug small time trying to take over his his ward. I'm gonna say his ward. And the kingpin basically didn't like him. So he has ordered D'Angelo and his goody cops to go in and to shut this small time drug house down. In the meantime, D'Angelo is telling, no, not D'Angelo, the kingpin is telling D'Angelo, look, when you go in, basically, you need to watch yourself. You need to watch your back and you need to watch your front. Because there's a mean shotgun person who's going to shoot you, and she's very good. So the first person who basically hit that door, their head is going to come off. And so we basically see that. Then we go over and we basically see a scene where apparently Fish has been trying to get in contact with um, KJ, but KJ hasn't been answering his calls. And so KJ knocks on the door, and I mean, no, Fish knocks on the door, excuse me, Fish knocks on the door, and KJ comes to the door, and Fish asks her, well, where you been? She says, I've been sick, and he was like, yeah. And she says, yes, I've been sick. And she does that to prove that she's been sick. That was a sorry call. If you see you'll see what I'm talking about. That was a sorry call. So Fish comes inside, and I'm gonna tell you, KJ's apartment was a mess. She had like all kinds of stuff all over there, and on top of that, she had some man's boxes, drawers all on the floor. So you know she's a net. Oof, all on the floor. The stuff was just like all over the place. I was like, ew. But anyway, and so he goes on and tells her, he says, I basically found out who took the boots and where the boots are and who has the boots and the name of the person who has the boots. And she says, well, okay, that's good. And so this is when Fish tells her that she needs to wear flat shoes. And so this is when KJ says, wear flat shoes. And he tells KJ yes, because basically the Butlers is having their funeral tomorrow. So we go on, and it's nighttime, and we see that the goons, the dirty guys, is getting ready to bust this small time drug dealers. And they put all their gear on and everything. Excuse me. And here's the kicker. This is what I'm saying. When I D'Angelo, he's ruthless. He reminds me of the Training Day Denzel Washington. He's ruthless. What he does is that he puts he puts Pete as a human shield. When they get ready to hit that door, that front door, Pete is the first person that shotgun is going to hit. But he was lucky he didn't get hit. And I was like, you dirty son of a see somebody. Wow, you really don't really, I mean, it's all about you. And so this is where we see that they go in this trap house has these drug dealers and everything, and they see this one guy, D'Angelo grab this person, he started beating the crap out of him. Then I don't know if a baby was there on the bed, and I don't know if the guy was on the top of the baby or the baby was already dead, but he somehow pulled the baby off, and you saw the baby was in all of this stuff, and the baby, I don't know if it was a girl or a boy, but the baby it was a mess. And the way it showed that it had, but anyway, the baby was a mess. And so the popping of the drug house was successful. And so we go on, and we see that it's the next day. We see that Fish has located Nadine at her preppy school. And he goes up to the gate with a $50 in his hand because he knows that Nadine is a crackhead. And so Nadine says all kinds of in the window stuff. And she basically takes the money and she moves on. Then we see the next time we see that D'Angelo has also found her, right? D'Angelo has also found her. And so we see that D'Angelo was in his car looking at her. And this is when Nadine noticed that D'Angelo was in his car looking at her. And so she comes out of the school gate and comes to the car and asks what he want. And she tells him, I ain't got any panties. I was like, yo, but some of these young girls today, so we know that D'Angelo and Fish and the dirty cops, they know Nadine. They know Nadine. They know that Nadine lives in a neighborhood that is very upper class, and Fish is unaware of what is basically going on. In the meantime, we have um we have Isaiah and we have Trish. Isaiah goes upstairs and he sees Trish, and basically Trish is still going through it, and she is folding up Bennett's jeans, and Isaiah has come upstairs and had a conversation about that she needs to kind of, pull herself together because it's a couple of days after the bereavement and she's still kind of grieving. Of course, this woman has just lost her only son. So some people are not like, it takes them a while. I know when I lost my mother, it took a minute for me. And I still have those moments. Um, and so he goes on to close the window. And so Tristan said, don't touch the windows. Leave the windows where they are, because he was getting ready to close them. And she says, leave the windows where they are. don't touch them. Look, guys, I'm basically gonna stop here. It's because the reason why I'm gonna stop here is because it's getting really, really good, and it's gonna get really, really tense, and it is kind of slow, but it's a slow that you want to kind of hang in there. It's because you want to figure out what's going on, what's going to happen. And let me tell you, it's if we still got some twists and some turns to get to. Until the next time, this is All Things Cheryl coming with you with a review of 7 seconds. And a couple of things I need for you to do. I need for you to click the notification. I need for you to share the video. I need for you to do those thumbs up and those thumbs down. And most of all, I need subscribers. And I need, some conversation. So let's have some conversation. And look, this is it. I said I will be coming back either Monday or Tuesday. Look, it's Monday. It's Monday. Well, actually, it's Sunday, but it's Monday. I'm back and I'm still rolling. So hopefully between Tuesday or Wednesday, who knows? I'll probably come back Tuesday. I will be giving you the review, the recap on episode 4. Till the next time, peace, love, and guess what? I ain't got no more. I'm done.